Today I'm on the quest to make the perfect ramen broth. And when I say the perfect ramen broth, it's got to have a lot of good pork bone flavor. But you can't just use pork bones for this. You have to use a little bit of chicken bones to round it out, a little bit of pork trotters to add extra flavor and add some collagen to make it a little thicker broth. And then we're gonna need to add some aromatics like some charred onions, some scallions, some ginger, maybe a little garlic, and then we'll have a good base broth to add our tares to. Tares are what flavor our ramen broths. Our first step is to take our bones and we're gonna bring the bones to a boil, just to boil some of the impurities out of it so that the broth is a little clearer. I'm gonna start with some water and I'm gonna add all our bones to this water and bring it to a boil. This is just get various bones with some meat that we're gonna take to make a real flavorful broth. The reason you blanch your bones before you make your broth is you'll want a clearer broth. So that first blanching removes some of the impurities that are in the bone. As you saw, we're constantly skimming as we bring our stock to a boil. After your bones come to a boil, you'll want to turn off the heat and then take all your bones out of that water and put them in a huge stock pot. And then you're gonna cover those clean bones with cold water and then bring that to a boil and then turn it down to a simmer. Now let's prepare our aromatics. We have here a few onions, a few scallions or green onions, we have some garlic, and we have some mushrooms. We're gonna sear all these and toast them until they're brown and then put them into our stock pot so that the flavors can meld with our broth. For your aromatics, you'll want a nice char on every piece so that it'll add a golden hue to your broth. So now we've put all of our aromatics into our broth. You'll want to bring it to a boil and then turn it down to a simmer and let that simmer for about 6 hours. I know that's a long time, but you'll get the most delicious flavor from your broth. And every 20 minutes, every half hour or so, get in there and scoop up the stuff that floats to the top. In the culinary world, we call that skimming the scum. You'll just want to pull that out. That will give you an end result that's nice and clear. All right, so I have drained all the guts from my broth and I have this beautiful golden broth ready for my ramen. In order to make the best ramen, you need a good chashu. But the way I make it, instead of making the pork belly that's rolled and then sliced, I like to make just pork shoulder. And I take it, I sear it, I braise it, and it is just a beautiful pulled pork that goes in my ramen bowl. So I'm gonna show you how to make it. You'll want to get a nice sear on the outside of the shoulder on all sides. That way it has a nice texture after it's braised. Now that our pork shoulder has been seared, we are ready to put together our braising liquid. So our braising liquid is going to take some onion or onion product. So you could do shallots or green onions. Then we need some garlic for that umami flavor. So we're going to take some garlic cloves, and then we're going to take some ginger. Then to make the liquid, we need some sugar, some sake, and some soy sauce. So we'll mix that together, and then we're going to add a little bit of honey for more sweetness. And then those ingredients are all really strong flavors, so we're going to dilute that. That will be 1/3 of the liquid, and then the other 2/3 is going to be just water. Now that our braising liquid is ready, we're going to take our seared pork shoulder and put it right in the braising liquid. We're going to cover it with some aluminum foil, and then we're going to put it in the oven for probably about 2 hours. We'll check it after 2 hours just to make sure it's as tender as we want it. And then we're going to let it sit in the braising liquid overnight. We're going to let it cool in the refrigerator. Let's check our pork. This pork looks great and smells great. Can't wait to put it in our ramen bowl. I have refrigerated my pork shoulder, let it marinate overnight, and now I have picked it all off the bone and ready to put in my ramen bowl. All right, I'm ready for my ramen. I have some roasted corn, some cut fish cake, that beautiful kabocha squash, some sauteed spinach, a 7-minute egg. This 7-minute egg is nice and creamy in the middle. I've got my beautiful broth and some mushrooms, some enoki mushrooms. And then just on top, I have some chili threads, and I can't wait to dig in. I've got my Japanese chopsticks and my ramen spoon ready to go.